Subscribe for more stories of quiet heroes who walk among us, unseen and unrecognized. This is Raymond Walsh, age 78. Blue janitor's uniform, calloused hands, and a past that would make your blood run cold. The Naval Special Warfare Center in Coronado, California, wasn't just a training facility. It was a crucible, where boys became men and men became weapons, where the weak were filtered out and only the strongest, the most determined, the most capable survived to earn the trident. The main administrative building housed offices, briefing rooms, and countless corridors that witnessed decades of military excellence. Every morning at 0500 hours, before the officers arrived, before the instructors began their brutal training regimens, Raymond Walsh pushed his cleaning cart through those halls. He'd been doing it for 11 years. The invisible man. The one people looked past, looked through, never really seeing. Just the janitor. Just the old guy who mopped floors and emptied trash cans and kept the building clean while real warriors did real work. This was Lieutenant Commander Derek Hale, age 34. 2 combat deployments, Silver Star for Valor, Bronze Star with V device, fast-tracked for command. He'd just been assigned as the new officer in charge of basic underwater demolition / SEAL training, BUD/S. The most prestigious instructor position in naval special warfare. Hale was a rising star. Everyone said so. Brilliant tactician, fearless leader, demanding instructor who maintained the highest standards. He'd graduated BUD/S Class 234 as honor man, top of his class. He'd served with SEAL Team 3 in Iraq, SEAL Team 7 in Afghanistan. He'd led men into gunfights, made split-second decisions that saved lives, earned respect through competence and courage. He was also, if we're being honest, arrogant. Not obviously. Not in a way that got him in trouble. But there was a certainty to Derek Hale, an absolute confidence in his own judgment, his own assessment of people and situations. He'd earned that confidence through 20 years of being right, of exceeding expectations, of proving himself again and again. On this Monday morning in early March, Hale arrived at 06:15, earlier than required, because he believed leaders should always be first in and last out. He walked through the main entrance with purposeful strides, his warfare insignia gleaming on his chest, his uniform immaculate. That's when he saw the janitor. Standing in the trophy hallway, a sacred corridor lined with photographs of every BUD/S class going back to 1962, with plaques commemorating fallen SEALs, with artifacts from historic operations. Raymond Walsh was carefully dusting a framed photograph, his movements slow and methodical. Hale stopped. Something about the scene bothered him. The trophy hallway wasn't exactly restricted, but it wasn't a cleaning zone either. The facility's crew normally worked in offices, restrooms, common areas. This hallway was different, more sacred, more personal. "Excuse me," Hale said, his voice carrying command authority. "What are you doing?" Raymond turned slowly. He was shorter than Hale expected, maybe 5'8" with the stoop of age. His face was deeply weathered, lined with years and sun damage. His hair was white and thin, combed neatly but unable to hide time's passage. His hands, wrapped around the dust cloth, showed the slight tremor of advancing age. But his eyes, pale gray eyes that seemed to absorb everything, held something that didn't quite match the janitor's uniform. "Cleaning, sir," Raymond said quietly. His voice was rough, textured, carrying the rasp of someone who'd spent too many years breathing dust and smoke. "Same as every Monday." "This hallway isn't on the standard cleaning schedule," Hale said. He knew because he'd reviewed the facility's management protocols over the weekend. He believed in knowing every aspect of his command, even the mundane details. Custodial staff should be focused on operational areas. Offices, restrooms, training spaces. "I do those too," Raymond said simply. "But I like to keep this hallway clean. These men deserve that." Hale felt irritation flash through him. He'd arrived early specifically to prepare for the day without distractions, and now he was dealing with a janitor who apparently didn't follow proper protocols. "The men in these photographs deserve respect," Hale said, his tone sharpening. "Not some random cleaning schedule that violates facility management procedures. This hallway is maintained by a specialized team once per month. That's the protocol." Raymond looked at him for a long moment. Those gray eyes studied Hale's face, his uniform, his warfare insignia, his rank. Then, without comment, he turned back to the photograph he'd been dusting. Hale's jaw tightened. He wasn't being defied often, and he didn't like it when it happened. "Did you hear me? I said this area is off your cleaning schedule." "I heard you, sir." Raymond continued dusting. "But with respect, I'll finish this photograph first. Only take a minute." Hale stepped closer. "No, you'll stop now. You'll return to your assigned areas and follow the facility protocols. Do you understand?" Raymond set down his dust cloth carefully. He turned to face Hale fully, and for just a moment, just a heartbeat, something flickered in those gray eyes. Something that made Hale's combat instincts twitch. "Sir," Raymond said, his voice still quiet but carrying an edge now, a weight. "I've been cleaning this hallway for 11 years. Every Monday morning. I know every face in these photographs. I know their stories, their classes, their sacrifice. I'm not disrespecting anyone. I'm honoring them. By violating facility protocols? By remembering them." Hale felt his face flush. Who did this old man think he was? Some janitor presuming to lecture a SEAL officer about honor and sacrifice? "What's your name?" Hale demanded. "Raymond Walsh." "Well, Mr. Walsh, I'm the new OIC of BUD/S training. I maintain the highest standards in every aspect of this command. That includes following established protocols. If you want to clean this hallway, submit a request through proper channels. Until then, you're done here. Now." Raymond stood there for a moment, holding that dust cloth, his face expressionless. Then he nodded slightly, gathered his cleaning supplies, and pushed his cart toward the exit. He stopped at the doorway, looked back at the photographs lining the walls, and said something so quietly Hale almost didn't hear it. "They deserve better than this." Then he was gone. Hale stood alone in the trophy hallway, feeling like he'd won something, proven something, established authority. He walked to the photograph Raymond had been dusting, Class 58, from 1969. 15 young faces staring out from the frame, forever frozen at the beginning of their journey. He didn't think about Raymond Walsh again for the rest of the day. 3 weeks passed. Hale threw himself into his new role with typical intensity. BUD/S training was brutal by design, a 6-month crucible that broke most men who attempted it. Only about 20% of candidates made it through. The rest rang the bell, quitting, surrendering, accepting that they didn't have what it took. Hale believed the selection process was sacred. It had to be hard. It had to be unforgiving, because the men who graduated would face real combat, real bullets, real consequences. Weakness couldn't be tolerated. Mediocrity couldn't be accepted. He saw Raymond Walsh occasionally, usually early in the morning, pushing his cleaning cart, emptying trash, mopping floors. The old janitor never made eye contact anymore, never acknowledged Hale's presence. Just did his job and disappeared. Good, Hale thought. Professional boundaries maintained. Then came the incident with candidate Johnson. Seaman David Johnson, Class 347, age 23. Former college athlete, strong swimmer, high PT scores. He'd made it through Hell Week, the legendary 5.5-day test that broke most candidates. He was in third phase now, diving operations, just weeks from graduation. During a routine pool exercise, Johnson had a shallow water blackout, lost consciousness underwater due to hypoxia. His swim buddy caught it immediately, brought him to the surface, and the safety divers had him out of the water in seconds. Johnson recovered quickly. No permanent damage, but the medical staff flagged it for review. Standard protocol called for a medical evaluation board. The question: was this a one-time incident or evidence of a deeper problem? Should Johnson be allowed to continue training? Hale reviewed the case file in his office. Johnson's record was solid. No previous incidents. Strong performance across all evolution. The shallow water blackout appeared to be an isolated event, possibly caused by aggressive breathing techniques during the exercise. But there was risk. There was always risk. Hale made his decision. Medical drop. Johnson would be removed from training, processed for reassignment to the regular Navy. It was the safe choice, the defensible choice, the choice that protected the program from criticism if Johnson had problems down the road. He submitted the paperwork at 1600 hours on a Friday afternoon. On Monday morning, Hale arrived at 0600 to find Raymond Walsh sitting on a bench outside his office. The old janitor stood when Hale approached. "Commander Hale, can I speak with you for a moment?" Hale stopped, surprised. "About what?" "About Seaman Johnson." Hale felt annoyance flash through him. "That's not your concern." "I know his father," Raymond said quietly. "David Johnson Sr. We served together. Long time ago. Different war. That doesn't change the medical evaluation." "No, it doesn't." Raymond's gray eyes held Hale's. "But I'm asking you to reconsider. David's a good kid. Strong. Determined. One incident shouldn't end his dream." Hale crossed his arms. "Mr. Walsh, with all due respect, you're a facilities employee. You don't have access to training records, you don't have insight into candidate evaluation, and you don't get to question command decisions. Is that clear?" "Crystal clear, sir." Raymond's voice remained calm. "But I'm still asking. Not as an employee. As someone who knows what that dream means. What it costs. What it's worth." "The answer is no. Johnson's been medically dropped. The decision is final." "Commander." "This conversation is over," Hale interrupted. His voice carried absolute authority. "You need to stay in your lane, Mr. Walsh. Clean the floors. Empty the trash. Leave the training decisions to people qualified to make them." Raymond stood there for a moment. In his gray eyes, Hale saw something he couldn't quite identify. Disappointment, maybe. Or sadness. "Yes, sir," Raymond said finally. "I'll stay in my lane." He walked away, pushing his cleaning cart, back bent, movements slow. Hale felt no guilt. He'd made the right decision. Johnson's safety mattered more than anyone's feelings. That was leadership. 2 months later, everything changed. The Commandant of Naval Special Warfare came for an inspection. Vice Admiral Thomas Bradley, 3 stars, 40 years of service, a legend in the SEAL community. His visits were rare and usually scheduled weeks in advance. This one wasn't scheduled. Hale got the call at 0700. "Admiral Bradley's on base. He'll be at your office in 15 minutes. Hale scrambled. Quick check of his uniform, quick walkthrough of the building, quick mental preparation for whatever questions the Admiral might ask. Bradley arrived with 2 aides and an air of quiet authority. He was 62, gray-haired, still fit, still carrying himself like the operator he'd been 30 years ago. "Commander Hale," Bradley said, shaking hands. "I've heard good things about your leadership here." "Thank you, sir. I'm honored. Walk with me. I want to tour the facility." They spent 90 minutes walking through training areas, classrooms, pool facilities. Bradley asked sharp questions, listened carefully to answers, observed everything with the trained eye of someone who'd spent decades in special operations. Finally, they ended up in the trophy hallway. Bradley stopped in front of the Class 58 photograph, the same one Raymond had been dusting months ago. He stared at it for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "Do you know about this class, Commander?" Bradley asked. "Class 58, graduated 1969, Hale replied. 15 original members. Do you know what happened to them?" I'm not familiar with the specific details, sir." Bradley pointed to one face in the photograph. A young man, maybe 22, with serious eyes and a slight smile. Raymond Walsh. Youngest graduate in his class. Top of his class in dive operations. Went to SEAL Team 1, deployed to Vietnam in 1970. Hale felt the world tilt. Raymond Walsh. His voice came out strangled. You know him? Bradley glanced over. There's a janitor here. Same name. But he is the same man, Bradley finished. Raymond Walsh. Retired Senior Chief Petty Officer. Navy Cross recipient. 3 silver stars. 4 bronze stars with V device. 5 purple hearts. Hale couldn't breathe. Bradley continued, his voice carrying weight. Raymond Walsh spent 4 years in Vietnam. Ran classified operations into Cambodia and Laos. Missions that officially never happened. He was part of Phoenix program operations, targeted elimination of high-value enemy personnel. Dangerous work. Deadly work. The Admiral turned to face Hale directly. In 1972, his platoon was ambushed during an extraction operation. Half his team was killed in the first minute. Raymond held off enemy forces for 6 hours while wounded men were evacuated. He personally killed 23 enemy soldiers, took 4 bullets himself, refused to leave until every American was out. Hale felt sick. He was awarded the Navy Cross for that action, Bradley said. He was 24 years old. He served 2 more tours, saved countless lives, built a reputation as one of the most capable operators in SEAL Team 1 history. Why is he working as a janitor? Hale whispered. Because after retirement, he struggled. PTSD, survivor's guilt, trauma that wasn't understood or treated properly back then. He lost his family, lost his career prospects, lost everything except his honor and his memories. The only place he felt comfortable was here, around SEALs, around people who understood. Bradley's voice softened. I helped get him the facilities job 11 years ago. He doesn't want recognition, doesn't want attention. He just wants to serve in whatever capacity he can. He cleans this building like it's sacred ground because to him, it is. Hale thought he might vomit. He asked me to reconsider a medical drop 2 months ago, Hale said quietly. Seaman Johnson. I told him to stay in his lane. I said he should clean floors and leave training decisions to people qualified to make them. The silence that followed was devastating. Bradley's expression hardened. You said that to a Navy Cross recipient? To a man who served 4 years in combat? Who saved more lives than you've probably met? I didn't know, sir. His records are still partially classified, Bradley interrupted. Most of what he did remains sealed. You wouldn't have found them in standard personnel files, but you could have asked questions, could have shown curiosity, could have recognized that an old man dusting photographs of SEALs might have a reason beyond violating your precious protocols. Hale felt tears threatening. Sir, What happened to Johnson? Bradley asked. Medically dropped. Reassigned to Surface Fleet. Raymond asked you to reconsider? Yes, sir. And you refused? Yes, sir. Bradley shook his head slowly. Raymond Walsh has forgotten more about evaluating warriors than most of us will ever learn. If he vouched for Johnson, there was a reason. I made a medical judgment based on safety. You made a decision based on covering your ass, Bradley said bluntly. Based on avoiding risk to your career rather than trusting the candidate. That's not leadership, Commander. That's cowardice. The word hit like a physical blow. Bradley looked at the Class 58 photograph again. Raymond cleans this hallway every Monday because he remembers. Because he knows what sacrifice looks like. Because he understands the price these men paid better than anyone. He turned back to Hale. You're relieved as OIC, effective immediately. You'll transfer to a staff position where your decisions won't impact candidates' futures. Is that understood? Hale's career imploded in a single sentence. Yes, sir. Now, I want you to find Raymond Walsh. I want you to apologize to him properly. And I want you to understand something. Rank doesn't equal wisdom. Age doesn't equal irrelevance. And the man pushing a cleaning cart might be the most important person in this building. Hale found Raymond in the storage room behind the main facility. The old man was organizing cleaning supplies, his movements slow and methodical. "Mr. Walsh," Hale said from the doorway. His voice was thick. "Can I speak with you?" Raymond turned, surprised. "Commander, I need to apologize. For everything. For dismissing you, for disrespecting you, for not seeing who you really were." Raymond set down the bottle of floor cleaner he'd been holding. "You didn't know. I should have known. I should have asked. I should have recognized that someone who cares that much about those photographs might have earned the right to care." Raymond was quiet for a moment. "I don't need apologies, Commander. I chose this job. I chose this life. Admiral Bradley told me about Vietnam. About your service. About the Navy Cross. That was a long time ago. It matters. You matter. And I treated you like you were invisible." Raymond's gray eyes softened slightly. "We're all invisible sometimes, Commander. The question is whether we use that invisibility to serve or to hide." "What about Johnson?" Hale asked. "His medical drop. Was I wrong?" "That's not for me to say. Please. I need to know." Raymond sighed. Sat down on a cleaning supply crate, suddenly looking every year of his 78 years. David Johnson had a shallow water blackout because he was pushing too hard, trying too much, refusing to accept his own limit. That's not weakness. That's the opposite. That's the drive that makes SEALs. He looked up at Hale. "I had 3 shallow water blackouts during BUD/S. Different era, different protocols, but same thing. I learned. I adapted. I graduated. I served 24 years. I saved lives because someone gave me a second chance." Hale felt his throat tighten. "I ended his dream. You made a decision based on fear rather than faith. It happens. The question is whether you learn from it. I've been relieved of command. I know. Admiral Bradley told me." Hale sank against the doorframe. His career, his reputation, everything he'd built, gone because of arrogance, because of assumptions. "What do I do now?" he whispered. Raymond stood slowly. Walked over to Hale. Put a weathered hand on the younger man's shoulder. "You learn humility, Commander. You learn that leadership isn't about being right all the time. It's about being wise enough to recognize when you're wrong. Strong enough to admit it. Humble enough to change." Tears spilled down Hale's cheeks. "I'm sorry. I know, son. And that's a start." 6 months later. Hale stood in the trophy hallway, wearing his dress uniform, waiting. He'd spent the intervening months in a staff position as ordered. He'd worked with the Inspector General's office reviewing candidate evaluation protocols across all Navy Special Operations training programs. It was desk work, administrative, far from the glory of command. But he'd learned. God, had he learned. He'd instituted new protocols requiring multiple medical reviews for dropout candidate. He'd pushed for policy changes giving candidates second chances after isolated incident. He'd advocated for bringing in retired operators as advisors, as voices of experience. And he'd spent every Monday morning in the trophy hallway, cleaning the photographs alongside Raymond Walsh. Now, Admiral Bradley had requested his presence. No explanation, just a time and location. The Admiral arrived at precisely 0900, flanked by 2 aides and someone else. Seaman David Johnson, wearing the SEAL trident on his chest. "Commander Hale," Bradley said. "I wanted you to meet someone." Johnson stepped forward, saluted. "Good morning, sir." Hale returned the salute, confused. "Johnson? I thought." "I appealed the medical drop," Johnson said. "Senior Chief Walsh helped me prepare the paperwork. Took 3 months, but I got reinstated. Graduated class 347 last month." Hale looked at Raymond, who stood quietly in his janitor's uniform, cleaning cart beside him. You did this? Hale asked. I helped, Raymond said simply. The Navy has appeal processes for a reason. David deserved his chance. Bradley smiled. Petty Officer Johnson graduates from SQT next month. He'll be heading to SEAL Team 7. Because an old janitor believed in him when his commanding officer didn't. Hale felt emotion overwhelming him. Johnson, No need, sir. Johnson's voice was respectful but firm. You made a decision based on the information you had. Senior Chief Walsh taught me that leadership means making hard calls, and sometimes those calls are wrong. What matters is what happens after. Bradley gestured to the trophy hallway. Raymond's being honored today. Finally. After 11 years of refusing recognition, I've convinced him to accept something. Raymond looked uncomfortable. Sir, this really isn't necessary. It absolutely is. Bradley opened a folder, pulled out a framed certificate. By order of the Commandant of Naval Special Warfare, Raymond Walsh, Senior Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy, retired, is hereby appointed Honorary Master Chief of Naval Special Warfare Training Command, in recognition of 11 years of distinguished service, dedication to the mission, and commitment to the warriors we create. Raymond stood frozen. Bradley continued. You'll maintain your current duties if you choose. But you'll also serve as an advisor to the OIC of BUD/S training. Your voice, your experience, your wisdom, made official. Tears ran down Raymond's weathered cheeks. Hale stepped forward. Senior Chief Walsh, I've learned more from watching you clean floors than I learned in 20 years of service. You showed me that honor isn't about rank or recognition. It's about how we treat people when no one's watching. How we serve when there's no glory. How we remember when others forget. He saluted, sharp, crisp, respectful. Raymond returned the salute, his trembling hand steady for that moment. Thank you, Commander, Raymond said quietly. For learning. For changing. For becoming the leader these men need. 5 years later. The trophy hallway had a new photograph. Class 58 in a place of honor with a plaque beneath it. In memory of Senior Chief Raymond Walsh, 1945 to 2024. The invisible warrior, who taught us that true strength is quiet, true service is humble, and true heroes often push cleaning carts. Commander Derek Hale, now the OIC of BUD/S training again, reinstated after proving himself, stood before that photograph every Monday morning. And he cleaned it personally. Because some lessons are too important to forget. Some warriors are too valuable to overlook. And some men teach us more by how they serve than others teach by how they command. Raymond Walsh never wanted recognition. But in the end, he got something more important. He got remembered. If this story moved you, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to our channel for more stories proving that legends don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear blue coveralls and push cleaning carts. And sometimes that makes them the most important person in the room.